Hello, a very good Monday morning, Sankan and John. Here, since I have set up some display models with the streaming server, which is the one that you are going to mount with the PC server, I have got the opportunity to set a whole unite the whole systems. So here's the video that I want to share with you some information of this system. Okay, right now I don't have the 19 inches multimedia display as that in your office because that is kind of a customized project that we searched the LCD display, LCD module, and then we opened a customized casing for your company. So here I have a standard module, is the 18.5 inches, the largest one, and the smaller, this one is 12.1 inches. And then the latest, the one behind the 12.1 inches is a slave model of the 12.1. Okay, then I connect the whole system. I connect the streaming server and the PC server with these two display modules, not two instead of three. That's because this one is a slave model. This one is the slave model of this one. So this one doesn't need to connect with the LAN cable. Only we need only to connect the LAN cable with this one and this one. So we control these two. This one shared the same displaying content to its slave model. So as you can see, it shares all the same content with each other, and this one is the only one that has the main control board. Okay, so as you can see, our PC, this PC server is, this one is the remote control program that we have done mounting successfully last week. So as you can see right now, I have only two displays as your project here, and the two displays IP addresses are all the same. And right now it's playing the streaming server, is playing the streaming content from the server. The first one is playing the streaming from the port 3, this one, port 3. And the second display, this one, the second display, you can see what content is playing from here, from this category, media status. So the second display is playing the streaming from S2. S2 is the streaming port 2. Here, streaming port 2. This streaming server has capable of all the same functions as we dispatched to you. So it's a two streaming port model. Which is the streaming port second and the streaming port 3. So it doesn't have the 1 and the 4. So this 1 and the 4, these two indication light will be no lighting at all because it's not connected to any board inside. It's only a two streaming ports model as yours also. Okay, so right now I quickly share you all the functions of this streaming server. First, this is the open switch, power switch of the model. When you switch to the middle, then it's power off. Then if you switch to the left, then it's going to enter the setting mode. If you want to change its IP addresses, because this two streaming port has its IP addresses, different IP addresses of LAN. So if you want to change the network segment code, you can use these setting functions to change. And normally we switch to the on, it's power on this model. Right now it's on normally power on status, and so it's mostly power on and off. Off is middle. Then we have here is in HDMI input connector. I can. Okay, it's too tightly. It's an HDMI input connector that you can connect to the TV box, as I have here. It's an TV box. Then you can connect to other media players that has the HDMI output into this port. Then you can choose from our streaming program. So this week I hope we have time to mount our streaming servers program and to test it. This one here, this is the streaming servers program. It's different program. This one is meant for control the streaming server, and this one is control the display. So we have to use two different programs to control different modules. Okay, this one is a program that we can switch the content of the streaming server. As we have here, we have two streaming ports, 2 and 3. So here it's very clear and very friendly using. We control the streaming port 2 and the streaming port 3. So it can be a very simply switch that you can switch the media sources of the streaming port 2. Right now it's playing the HDMI content, and you can use this bar to switch it to USB. Okay, you can click it. Then it can, as you can see, it has a status window here. The streaming port is going to reboot itself. This is the streaming port IP address. This one. The last 3 code is 198. And this streaming port 3 has different IP code, as you can see. It has 197. So it's different networking streaming. And then after we switch, a streaming port needs to reboot itself, so it will switch to USB. So right now the 2 streaming port is playing the USB content in the same time. But as you can see, I plug the USB drive into the streaming port 3 only, and I don't plug any USB drive into the streaming port 2. So the indication light is green, is in flashing green status. It means it has a malfunction. The malfunction reason is we don't plug in any USB drive, and organize, or we order this port to play USB drive, but we didn't give it any USB drive. So it's a mistake. It's a mistake operation. So we need to switch it back to HDMI input. Then it can play the TV box content. Okay, we can simply switch it back. As you can see, then when it's rebooting itself, the color is off. The indication color will be off because it's closing its board, then reboot it automatically. And as you can see, the streaming port 3 is in the green color, still green color. It means it's on the normal running status, and it's playing the USB drive 3, the USB drive's content of the USB 3 port. Okay, when it's in the still, the indication in the still color normally it means it's on the good status, it's on the good running function. Okay, so I have introduced the main connectors of the streaming server. It's basically, if it has the 2 streaming servers ports, then it has the 2 IP addresses of each streaming port. Then you can switch the streaming ports content by using our program, which is mounting on the control PC on the PC server. Then you can choose which content this port is going to be streaming, and has 2 options. One is choose from the HDMI, the other one is choosing from the USB drive. And if you have the streaming port 2, you can only select the USB port 2's content. And if you are the streaming port 3, then you can only choose the USB port 3's content. If you select it for the USB, for playing USB content, but you don't give it any USB, then it will showing a flashing green light to tell you it's mistake operation. It's a problem operation. Okay, so we can do a simple test. If I plug off the USB drive, then as you can see, it's flashing. Then after we plug it, you can plug in each port. It's okay, but you can only plug in one USB because it can only recognize the first one. So if you plug into USB, it's no use, it's useless. Okay, then as you can see, this streaming port 2 is showing we call it orange, still orange light, but it looks a little red. It's in the middle of red to orange. But no matter if it's on the still and it's a still orange red color, then it means it's streaming the content from the TV box, and it's streaming well. The content is streaming well through this streaming port, so it shows a still orange colors light. And if you unplug the LAN cable. You can see it's on the flashing red color. If it's showing the flashing red color, which means the networking is off or is unstable. It's not detecting any networking connection. So after we plug in the LAN cable, you can see after a while, it's the flashing orange color changed to the steel orange color, which means it's on the good connection. It's on the good networking connection. So this indication light is very helpful and is useful for you to judgment if the streaming port is well functional or not. Okay, now I switch to this program. As what we have operated before, this program is very simply operating. You can use it to, okay, first of all, very importantly, you can use it to previewing the content of this streaming port. Then you can see if this content is well streaming from this streaming port, then you can distinguish if it's a streaming server's issue or the display's issue. If the display doesn't play what you ask it for, it's to play. Okay, as you can see right now, the TV box. This is the streaming content of the TV box, and as you can see, it's running well. Then we close it. Then we move to another streaming port, which is playing the USB content. You can see here, and you can see it's now in the landscape angle. The two streaming ports are all playing content in landscape angle. It's because our layout is in landscape here. It's following the layout of the display. The two display is on 180 landscape layout. So since it's on the landscape layout, we have to make the streaming content on the landscape angle as well. If it's not on the landscape angle, then you will see the streaming content is in the not compatible with the display, so it looks not so good. Okay, right now we preview the USB drive's content. It's a very good function here. The USB drive's content is playing this movie. It's a movie advertisement. Okay, it's for you to preview. It's running well, so we can know these all two streaming ports are running well, are streaming the content very well. So we can for sure this streaming server is well functional right now from this program and from these indication lights as well. Okay, after confirming this point, if the display still have issues on displaying the content, then we can we can know its other reasons. So right now I show you how we can switch our display. Right now the display is playing here. The first display is the 12.1 here. Okay, I think I forgot to mention one thing. It's about the USB drive. About the USB drive here. Okay, about this USB drive. This USB drive's content. That you can only put the videos in the USB drive if you want to plug in the streaming server. And one thing is very important, that you don't put other things inside the USB drive. It's important, and make sure this USB drive is for this streaming server only. Because we have to prevent it to reading some bad files or some issued files from the USB drive. So we need to keep it clean, and only videos inside of it. And the video's name, each video's name, it can contain many videos. You can put up to 10 or 20 videos inside the USB if your USB drive having a large memory size. Only one tip is to rename each video's name in only for Arabic numbers or the English letter, and a very simple English letter, and no any blanks in the name, just very simple characters. Okay, so right now we have a well-functional streaming port, 2 well-functional streaming ports. So we can choose what display to play to use the streaming port on which streaming port easily. So I select the first display is 12.1, is this one. As you can see, it's right now playing the content of the USB port. So I can switch it to play the HDMI content. HDMI is on the, you can see it's from the color. Orange color is playing from HDMI input. So I have to switch it to the streaming port 2 and run it, give order to the display. And you can see as well from the status window. Switch to the streaming Net TV is streaming port, and you can see which port from here. Previously it's AVS3, now it's AVS2, and we can check if it's really been changed. Yes, here it's now playing the HDMI input, playing content from TV box. We can see the status from the PC server as well. Just simply, yes, here, as you can see the status from a remote distance from a control room. See the real status of the display, as you can see. It's same status of what the display is now in the lift car. So you can remote monitoring the status of the LCD display very well. Okay, it's now a simple sharing of the streaming server of this multimedia advertising display system that it's meant for the networking streaming server, compatible with a PC server. PC server is always a needed device and a needed useful software. A PC server is needed for any project, any our multimedia display project. And now it's a streaming server with the PC server and with the displays. It's a simple but a complete. This construction now, it's complete architecture of a very simple sample, a very example, yes, a very identical example of a multimedia display system. What is the devices? All devices is needable, and as you can see, we have need a networking cable, and we can audio output. This is a 3.5 mm jack to connect to the speakers here. So for a customer, if they want to connect, you can connect the speakers of what you use for. It's depending on what the audio sounding effect that you need. And okay, I want to show you is the Ethernet switch. The network switch is identical. It's an identical device that you need for this project only. So let's organize all the devices that we need. First of all, we have a PC server, then streaming server, then the displays, then Ethernet switch hub, and then you need a switching power. We offer the switching power also, and then you can connect to the speaker to test the sounding. Okay, then we need to prepare an HDMI input, HDMI output media player, TV box, and a USB drive. Okay, thank you. It's a simple sharing. I hope it can give you more understanding of this multimedia system, and I hope this week that we can have time to test and complete the mounting if you are available. And please always feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Oh, okay, thank you.